This is something you've all been requesting for a long time, and after much searching, I finally found 3 stories about school lockdowns. It was a regular, uneventful day in calculus class, only it was Friday during 7th period, which meant the week was almost over, and spring break was just around the corner. Everyone was getting restless. Unlike a lot of my friends in other classes who had tests, we didn't have one that day, so our teacher, laid back as he was, decided to pass the time by playing games with us on Sparkle.com. We were in the middle of a brand logo quiz on Sparkle when I remember the exact moment it happened. My friend had just answered a question. I remember it clearly. The answer was Adidas, when the dean's voice suddenly came over the loudspeaker. He sounded frantic as he announced that this was not a drill and ordered all teachers to initiate a lockdown. Goosebumps ran up my arms, and even our usually relaxed teacher looked panicked. He quickly shut off the lights and urged us to gather in the back corner of the room. We sat in silence for about 2 minutes, and then the usual buzzing sound from a panel in the back of the room stopped, signaling that the school had cut all power. We exchanged nervous glances, understanding that this was serious. After a few more minutes, we suddenly heard a man screaming in the hallway, his voice getting closer. 2 girls in the class started crying, making us all even more frightened. As the screaming grew louder, the man began banging on lockers and shouting, "I'll kill all of you!" It was at that moment that real fear set in. Our teacher urged us to stay quiet as we huddled together, watching each other's reactions. Then, the banging moved from the lockers to our classroom door, and one of the crying girls screamed, "No!" The banging intensified, and the man started yelling, "Open up!" By now, 2 of the girls were openly crying, and it felt like an eternity before he moved on, continuing down the hall while screaming like a lunatic until his voice finally faded. About 10 minutes later, though it felt much longer, the dean's voice returned on the loudspeaker, explaining the situation. He told us that an apparently unstable man had entered the building and attacked the receptionist, who ran out of the building screaming. The staff didn't know if the man was armed. This was before our school had cameras or decent security, so the building was vulnerable to situations like this. After a sweep of the hallways and classrooms turned up nothing, the dean instructed teachers to resume class with doors locked and to keep students from leaving the rooms for any reason. The most disturbing part, however, came later when a night shift janitor reportedly found the man asleep in a storage closet at the back of the school. According to rumors that spread, he had a .44 Magnum sticking out of his pocket. The janitor must have done something to wake him up, like leaving the closet door open, because by the time the police arrived, he was gone. To this day, none of us know if that man was ever found, but I like to think he eventually got the help he needed.